Hi folks, it's Sean Nizman from lastchanceautorestore.com, and today I'd like to do a little bit of a walk around to share one of the builds that we just completed. This is a 1949 Chevy School Bus. We were contacted by a client who found this vehicle basically a shell without a drive line. There's no wiring, there's no transmission, no dash, the glass was broken, there's lots of holes and so on. So you can see this build. We'll have lots of photos on our website, lastchanceautorestore.com, under completed projects. What I'd like to do is just basically give you a walk around presentation on some of the features on this bus. So it started its life as a cab chassis from General Motors. It's a Chevrolet cab chassis. The hood medallion is incorrect. It says 3100. For you avid Chevrolet truck people, this would mean half-ton. This is a hood that obviously came off a half-ton truck. A 1¼ ton cab chassis, and then the body was sent, or the cab chassis was then sent to a bodybuilder back in 1949, and the name of the bus company was called Superior Bus Lines. So when we got this, it was multicolored. We did a little bit of body work and we fixed a lot of the holes in the vehicle. It had a lot of holes through the roof. There was a furnace, there was a toilet. They had a big wood stove pipe cut out through the side and burn holes. So we fixed all of the holes. We kept the body kind of with the dings and bangs and scratches on it. And then we painted it the color that will show best for the movie people. So from the outside you can see that all the glass has been redone, new weather strips. We have the vent door in front of the cowl that actually operates. It opens and closes. We have it open right now. We've added West Coast style mirrors, which would have been an authentic style back in the day. The wipers that you see are authentic, and we have the driver's one that actually operates. We rebuilt the motor, and we'll show you as we go around that actually operates on the driver's side. As we come around the front of the vehicle, when we received it, it was quite rough condition and everything was painted flat black with a bunch of spray cans. So we were able to fix the grille. We painted it the correct off-white or cream color. We did all new wiring and wiring harness, all new marker lights, sealed beams. So we have high beams, low beams. We have the signals. We also have the marker lights that are working correctly in the grille. We cleaned up some of the missing trim and installed it so it gives you that authentic look. And then from the front, there's a lever here that just clicks to the side, and the second lever to open up the hood. And what we did with the engine, this originally would have been a 6-cylinder motor. So we got a mid-80s small block 305 Chev motor, and we rebuilt it. So basically what we did is we freshened it up. It has a mild cam in it. We changed the exhaust system, and it has a 2-into-1 exhaust. So it has a Y pipe, and then it looks very authentic when the single exhaust goes down the frame of the bus. You can see in the back when we come around, the tailpipe is authentic. It exits in the correct spot that it would in 1949. Because they're using it for a movie, we didn't want to have any troubles in terms of cooling or idling. So what we did is we upgraded the radiator with an aluminum rad. It's a 4-core aluminum radiator, and you can see in the back here we've set up with an electric fan, and it has a thermostat which will automatically turn it on and all the time. So as soon as we start this bus up, the electric fan will come on, and it will keep it cool regardless of how long it's idling. So a vehicle like this typically doesn't like to sit and idle for very long without airflow, but we've taken this on a couple of road tests, and sitting idling for 45 to 50 minutes with no problems. It doesn't go any higher than 180 degrees. So this should work really well for our clients. So once we freshened up the engine, so it's a small block 305, it's got a turbo 350 automatic, so it's a 3-speed automatic transmission. We rebuilt the transmission. It was quite a task for the drive shaft because it didn't come with one. So it took 3 drive shafts to make one for it to work, and we built a hanger barrier assembly so that it's safe from the transmission all the way to the rear differential. So I'll just shut this hood. Now as you come around the side, as I mentioned earlier, it has the authentic marker lights or signal lights. So the marker lights are built in the grille, and then we have the signal lights, which has the yellow on the front, red on the back, and we've got them so they work. This 49 bus wouldn't have had signals on both sides. It would have had just the one signal, but we added the two signal lights. As you come around to the side, we've got used steel rims with the correct bolt pattern, and we have brand new LT all-season tires. And the reason why they're LT is for light truck for load, because one of the stipulations for this build, the client requires seating for a total of 11 people. So we wanted to make sure that we had the tires and the brakes safe. So we have 4 brand new tires, and they're a heavy-duty light truck tire. We redid all the brakes, front and rear, and replaced the wheel cylinders, and adjusted and cleaned all the shoes, so we have proper braking. As we come to the side, the entrance doors were in really rough shape when we got it. The bottoms were rotten, and it wasn't attached. So now we have we've repaired both of those and the hinge mechanism. We have the proper handle inside to open and close. So basically you have it about 3/4 of the way closed just manually, but we can latch it from the inside once we get in. So you'll notice we have the West Coast style mirror, which once again is authentic look, which helps with the visibility down both sides. We replaced the glass, and all of the glass has been replaced with the safety, the DOT glass. So it's all safety glass with all new weather strip, and each one of these panels, believe it or not, these glass panels are different sizes. So what we did, we made a pattern piece for each opening. Even the driver and passenger front windshield were 2 totally different sizes. The angles of the corners were all different. So basically we made individual patterns for every piece of glass. We cut this special DOT safety glass for each section, ordered in the rubber, and we installed them all in-house. So when you come inside, as you can see, we open it from here. We've added an entrance light you see here, and every time the door is open and we start the bus or it's running, this light will be on, and there's a switch with the handle. So when you start the bus and it's running, this light will be on for visibility, and then as soon as this door is latched, that light will shut off. So we just added that as a safety feature. I'm not sure if they're going to be filming at night, but we thought it would be safe to have a light there, and it lights up quite nicely. So what I'll do is I'll just go into the bus, and then I'll show you what we did with the dash and so on. So if we just take the step up here, as we come into the bus, you'll see it was multicolored inside. So the roof up in here, most of it was painted black, which wouldn't show up very well in the movie. It was in really rough shape. We rebuilt the walls. Several holes were repaired, and then we smoothed the roof and did whatever body work that was required. The back door had a piece of plywood and plexiglass, so we've replaced that. So you see the sides now look very authentic. So we've got the 4 rows of seating down both sides of the bus. So for the movie, they need to have it look authentic on the inside. This was really neat. This Superior Safety Bus Body, Coach Lines from Ohio. This label had, oh, I don't know, probably 15, 18 coats of paint over it. So we're able to clean all that off, and I think that's just a neat little feature. It looks very authentic. You'll see the wiper motors for both the passenger and driver side. These were an option. They were normally in 1949. This would have been run by vacuum from the engine, but someone at some point has upgraded these to an electric motor. So what we've done is we rebuilt the armature and the motor inside here. So it's just a simple switch on and off, and it will actually operate this driver's wiper. That's what's required for safety, and it might be handy for the movie people in the event if they do any filming where there's going to be any condensation. This is just for looks. It actually won't operate. We weren't able to rebuild or find any parts for the motor on the passenger side. So we have this that works. We made this dashboard from scratch. There was no dash in here. There was no wiring and no ignition. no speedo, no signals. There was basically nothing here at all. And then there was a bunch of holes in the firewall. There was holes here in the floor. So we redid the floor. You can see in here our brand new wiring harness with all the updated fuses. So we have all of the main wiring harnesses here, and then we've run everything up through. So as you can see, the dash looks very authentic. And what we've done is we had a speedometer out of an old 49 Chev truck that we rebuilt in terms of the lens, the needle, and the chrome bezel. And then we tried to get as close to authentic look gauges, and these all operate correctly. So if you come to this far side here in the corner, we have a light switch. So the light switch is here to turn parking lights on and headlights, and they will shut off obviously there. Down below is the oil pressure switch, which we have set up with the engine, so we know that we have proper oil pressure. As we come to this side, we have temperature for the radiator, which I think is really important. So they have shown it as water. It typically is going to run somewhere in that 160 to 180 degrees, and we haven't been able to get it to go past 180, so that'll be trouble-free. And then as we come to the next gauge is the fuel gauge. We cleaned and replaced the fuel lines, and we cleaned the tank. We have a new sending unit, and we have an actual new fuel gauge also. Beside it, as I mentioned, the speedometer, and then beside it we have the volt gauge here, and you can see the needles and the faces all kind of match to look authentic. We put the ignition switch in here. It's a new ignition switch. One of the specifications for the movie is they wanted an 8-track player. So we have an 8-track player that we've installed in here, and it is obviously authentic, period, correct kind of thing. As I turn the steering wheel a little bit, you'll see this is the aftermarket signal assembly, and this is something that was common from 1948 and up. So in the early to mid 50s, this was the exact kit that would be installed on these any one of these cab chassis and trucks of the Chevrolet and GMC line. So it's just exactly like today. You've got the signal for left, the signal for right, and then there's a knob here for 4-way hazard lights. So we have that. Down on the floor we've got the dimmer switch that you control with your foot. You can see that it's brand new for low beam and for high beam. We've replaced the horn button. We've kept the steering wheel authentic. The horn does work. We've also added an auxiliary horn, more just for fun and nostalgia. I'm not sure if they will use it in the movie or not, but it's the old style Cayuga kind of horn, and you can hear it here. So it's older style. This is something that's really neat. We found this fan in the back of the bus, and it wasn't operating at the time, but it's period correct. So this is from Chicago manufacturing. It is a period correct late 40s fan, so we were able to rebuild it and paint it. We installed it on the dash. It has a knob here, if you can get a picture of this. There's a dial here, and when you turn the dial on, you can see there's a light bulb that will actually light up to show the power is on, and so I have it going the wrong way. So it turns on low, and then you can crank it up to high. So I'll play with that for a second here. And so once again, it's authentic. I'm not sure if they'll use it in the movie, but it does blow quite a bit of air, and it is adjustable. So if the actors and actresses are going to be sitting in this bus for a long period of time, this will help try and keep things a little bit cooler. Guess I should shut that off. So what we'll do is we'll just, I'll start the bus. So it starts very smooth, very quiet. So the ignition switch, obviously just turn it once. There's no label here yet, but I think we'll probably make a label for on-off. So a couple of important things for our actual production company is you'll see the key. You just turn it obviously to roll the engine over, and it's idling and it runs great. Then what will happen to shut it off, you just click it to the first position. There's about a 2-second delay before the bus shuts off, and it's normal for this style. If we turn the key one more increment over to the left, that's the accessory position, and it will actually draw power from the battery. So what we want to make sure they do at all times is leave this key in the middle position, and then that's the position where the key is removable. So once again, to start it, very simple. Just turn it like a normal vehicle, and it starts and runs. You can see the gauges, 14 volts is coming on. We have the indicator light here to show that we have power going to the lights. We have over a half a tank of fuel, and it's not hot enough in terms of temperature yet. And then when we turn the lights on, hard to see now, but these gauges will light up. And we also have, I think you can see this here, the oil pressure light is actually on because we're in a shadow. So you can see that all of these gauges do actually light up, with the exception of the 8-track player. Okay, so we'll shut that off. And then in terms of an authentic look, for the floor, what we did is we redid the floor completely, and then we have 3/4 inch plywood over top. It has 2 coats of a flat black paint, which will be an authentic look. We built all of these seats, and this bus had no seats whatsoever. So we went to a salvage yard. We were lucky enough to find a school bus that had quite a few seats in it. So we purchased a bunch of seats, and then we had to modify them all. So we wanted to give it an authentic look with an aisle from front to back, so you still have access to the emergency exit of the back door. The door didn't operate before, and now it does. So you can actually open and close the door from both inside and outside. You can see the authentic look in here. There's vents from the factory back in '49 that Superior Bus Lines built. There's a lever here that you can open and close to get some airflow when you're driving the bus. These lights, they're the authentic lights in '49, but we did not wire them, so they're not operating right now. And you can see the back window has the brand new rubber and brand new safety glass also. So these seats were quite a challenge because this bus is 1 foot narrower than a normal size school bus. So we had to take all the seats apart, the upholstery, the foam, the plywood. We cut all of the seats. So there's a lot of metal fabrication that we did to narrow them, and then we reupholstered them, and then painted the frames black, and then we had bolted all of them safely into both the sidewall and into the floor. So you can see the original quote or request was to have a maximum of 11. We have 12 seats total, including the driver. So we have the extra seat. We think this is going to work the best for them in terms of filming, for loading and unloading the bus. So this is something that we just kind of came up with ourselves so that we could have a clean alleyway, and it gives you seating for 12. One thing that I didn't show was the door I mentioned earlier. So you can see from that area we have this handle, which is authentic for entrance for people coming in and out of the bus. So if you just show the light from there, you can see obviously the light is not on right now, but as soon as I turn the key on or start the bus, that light will light up. Now watch what happens. We have a switch here, so with this handle, when we go to close it, if you just keep the looking at that light, that switch will actually shut that light off. You'll notice that the doors are closed nicely, and then we have nice visibility through this triangular window at the top. We have the mirror, and we can see down the whole side of the bus. And same thing on this side. We have this West Coast style mirror with the new glass, and we can see clearly down that side too. So for a visibility standpoint, works out really well. A couple of things that we thought of before we built it in terms of planning, you'll notice the seat, the back of the seat lines up with the beam of the window. So you can see this window pane here, and if you look down the row, I think this will work the best for our clients, because no matter what position the person or actor or actress is sitting in, you'll see that it looks correct. So I'm looking out this side window. So I'm not sure if they do a lot of filming from the outside, but you'll see that all of these rows are authentic. Same thing with the driver's seat. This is a real driver bus seat that we bolted in. We positioned it correctly for the steering wheel, the gear shifter, and the brake and gas pedal. And then we've also have the seat belts that came with this particular setup. So from a visual standpoint, this looks exactly like a bus would in 1949 in terms of its authenticity. So So that's about all the excitement for the inside. So what I'll do is we'll open these doors here and we'll come out this way. And as you come down the side, once again, obviously it's all nice in terms of the blue. One thing I forgot to mention about the paint, we do all the bodywork in terms of perfectly smooth as we normally would. And then this paint, we added a flattening agent, which reduces the shine of the paint by 40%. So they didn't want the bus to look like it was brand new, just painted, because it wouldn't look correct. So this is flashed off by 40%. So it has more of a pastel kind of look, if you will. So it's kind of a nice look because you have the authentic black rubber. All of this rubber was damaged and painted over, and it was several different colors. So we have it black, and then as I mentioned earlier, all the new black rubber. We repaired wherever needed in terms of the holes and so on down the sides, and then we've done a satin black down both sides. As we come down the back of the bus, something that's really important that you wouldn't really notice until we pointed out is we had to modify the suspension in the rear. Once we had this bus built, they had incorrect wheels and tires on it. So when we put the correct size wheels and tires on this bus, the springs were a little bit weak and it didn't have much in terms of support for the rear part of the bus. So what we did is we bought a kit, a rubber suspension kit, which actually raises the rear end of the bus. So standing back, it has the correct height. And you can see the spacing here is roughly about 2.5 to 3 inches. The nice thing about this setup with the suspension, once our client loads this bus up with actors and actresses, so you're going to have up to 11 people, this bus is not going to bottom out, meaning the suspension isn't going to sag right down and raise the front end up and make it really hard to steer and to brake. So this is an important thing that we had to do to this bus to make sure that it's set up correctly and the back end wouldn't sag down. So as you come down the side, you can see we put authentic looking marker lights up on the roof because there was quite a few holes and so on. So we fixed all of the holes. And to be period correct, obviously there's yellow lenses for the front and then red lenses at the back. And then as we come around the back of the bus, it had quite a bit of damage, I would say substantial damage to these back corners. They were punched in pretty hard. There was a lot of homemade brackets here that held propane tanks, which we removed. We kept the little dent in the back, and there's some dings and so on that you can see here. This back door was quite a challenge. When we received it, it had a bunch of wood strapping and some plexiglass, and the whole back door was distorted and it wasn't opening and closing properly. So there was a substantial amount of work that we had to perform on these hinges and on the door, and it was really tricky to get this glass to work. So it looks great. You can't really see how much work was involved to make it look this way, but it turned out quite well. In terms of making it authentic looking, we've got, you can see that the brake signal and marker lights for the back, this and this here, both of these top lenses, they light up and they operate properly. And this is just a reflector on the bottom. So that was just an extra light that they had back in the day. We've put a new license plate light here, which actually does work. And then we have a frame, which is authentic frame 449. You also notice the tailpipe. It is exactly like it would be in 1949. So visually, when they're filming, this will look exactly like a period correct bus. This door does now operate, as I mentioned. And you can see once again, we finished it off. Our client had mentioned that the best color visually in terms of inside would be a light green. So you'll notice everything in terms of the walls, even the back of the walls inside the doors, is all this light satin green paint. As mentioned earlier, it was several different colors. So we've got new walls, and then with the floor having it satin black from front to back, and then authentic looking seats. It really does finish off the look. And then, as I mentioned earlier, This apparatus was not working before. We're opening and closing the door from either side, and now it does operate from both the inside and so we'll just shut that. Once again, it is the safety glass at the back. And as we come up this side, you can see the suspension once again where it's sitting up correct. And once they add passengers, it's not going to sag down. It's going to come down maybe a ½ inch maximum with it loaded with people. And then the fuel filler is right here. And so we've got the cap here to fill the fuel if they need to add gas to it. And then this is just a factory correct vent. Back in '49, they would have had a gravity heater that would have come from the engine exhaust, and heat would have come up for the bus driver. And then this was venting for exhaust or for fumes. So we painted it, which would be the factory correct matting to match the rest of the trim. So visually, we believe this should work really well for our clients. And like I mentioned, it's coming up, it's going to be an upcoming movie. So once we get more information from our client, we'll share that with you. So once again, I'm John Nizman from LastChanceAutoRestore.com, and thanks for watching.